The chamber of 1,000 voices was silent. The vast, domed expanse, usually alive with the gentle hum of translated conversation and the soft chime of floating platforms, held its breath. Representatives from a myriad of worlds, beings of crystalline light, swirling gaseous intelligences, and bipedal humanoids of every conceivable form, were gathered in urgent convocation. The air shimmered with the pheromones of anxiety and the subsonic vibrations of concern. At the epicenter of the concentric rings of delegates, High Counselor Zixa of the Luminar unfurled her 6 iridescent tentacles, a gesture that commanded absolute attention. Her bioluminescent skin, normally a calm, pulsing cerulean, flickered with urgent streaks of magenta. "Esteemed delegates of Galactic Council," she began, her voice a complex series of chimes and clicks that was seamlessly translated into the native language of every listener. "We convene under the shadow of a profound and unsettling discovery. Our deep-range surveyors have made contact with a species previously unknown to our records. They originate from a solitary, nitrogen-oxygen world in an unremarkable spiral arm. They call themselves humans." A holographic projection bloomed into existence above her, displaying a stunning image of a blue and white marble planet. This is Earth, their homeworld. Its history is a paradox that defies easy categorization. Merely 3 of their centuries ago, they were a fractured pre-industrial species, burning decayed biological matter for energy and slaughtering one another with chemically propelled metal projectiles. The image shifted, showing a rapid, dizzying montage of human history. The rise and fall of empires, the horror of global wars, the brilliant flare of artistic and scientific renaissance, all compressed into a few heartbeats. Yet, in this astoundingly brief window of time, they have achieved a unified planetary government, harnessed the atom, cracked the barrier of light-speed travel, and established thriving colonies on multiple extraterrestrial bodies. Their technological acceleration curve is not merely steep, it is vertical. Zix's tentacles coiled tightly, a sign of deep unease. But it is not their technology that compels this emergency session. It is their nature. Our psychological and historical analysts are confounded. The human psyche is a study in violent contradiction. They are capable of breathtaking altruism and genocidal cruelty, often within the same generation. They will risk their own lives to save a non-sentient creature, yet engineer weapons of horrifying efficiency to destroy their own kind. Their defining trait is a ferocious, terrifying adaptability. They do not merely survive hostile environments. They conquer them, reshape them, and thrive within them. A delegate from the silicon consciousness, its form a shifting, geometric lattice of crystalline structures, spoke, its voice a sound like grinding quartz. "High Counselor, with respect, does the Council truly fear this adolescent species? Their achievements, while notable, are nascent. They are children playing with stellar fire. We do not fear them, Delegate," Zixa countered, her skin flashing a pattern of thoughtful amber. "We recognize in them a volatile, unpredictable force, a catalyst that could reshape the delicate political and ecological equilibrium of our galaxy in ways we cannot foresee. Therefore, we propose the immediate issuance of a galactic advisory. All spacefaring civilizations are to avoid direct contact with humanity. Observe, yes. Study if you must, but do not provoke. Do not engage. Report all findings directly to the Council." The chamber erupted. 1,000 voices, 1,000 debates. Some saw prudence, others paranoia. The session stretched for hours, a tempest of diplomatic argument. As the debate began to wane, a new presence arrived at the chamber's entrance. The crowd parted for the newcomer, a being whose very demeanor radiated arrogance. It was Delegate Xur the Zarkani swarm, his polished, obsidian exoskeleton gleaming under the chamber lights, his multifaceted eyes scanning the assembly with palpable disdain. He clicked his sharp mandibles in a mockery of a polite greeting. "Apologies for my delay, High Counselor." Xur's voice translated as a smooth, oily baritone. "The frontiers of the Zarkani expansion wait for no one, not even the deliberations of the Council." Zixa acknowledged him with a curt dip of her tentacles. "Delegate Xur, we were concluding our discussion on the human species. Perhaps you would care to contribute the Zarkani perspective?" Xur's antennae twitched with amusement. "Humans? Yes, the whispers have reached even the outer rim. Tell me, why does the mighty Galactic Council tremble before these hairless apes who have barely mastered fire?" A wave of disapproval rippled through the assembly. Zix's bioluminescence flared a warning crimson. "We do not tremble. We advocate for caution and peaceful coexistence. The data suggests their potential for rapid, aggressive response is extreme." "Potential?" Xur interrupted, his dismissive click echoing in the sudden quiet. "You speak of potential when the Zarkani Empire delivers manifest destiny? These humans are divided, their colonies few and vulnerable. Their technology is a crude imitation of true power. We have been forging empires among the stars, while they were still learning to farm their own mud." Xur turned to address the entire chamber, his voice dripping with condescension. "Esteemed colleagues, this caution is a symptom of decay. The Zarkani see not a threat, but an opportunity. A young, vigorous species would benefit immensely from the structure and purpose of our empire. We will welcome them into the galactic community and show them their proper place." Zix's voice turned to ice. "The Council strongly advises against any aggressive action. To underestimate them is a mistake of catastrophic proportions." "Your advice is noted, High Counselor," Xur said, already turning to leave. "But the Zarkani swarm does not seek advice. We chart our own destiny." With that, he strode from the chamber, leaving a void of stunned silence in his wake. Zixa watched him go, a profound sense of dread settling in her core. The warning had been given, and it had been utterly, arrogantly ignored. Light years away, aboard the Zarkani flagship Eternal Conquest, Emperor Zoran reviewed the dispatch from his delegate. His chitinous faceplate shifted into a cruel approximation of a smile. "Humans," he mused, the word a dry rustle. "How quaint." A clawed hand tapped commands into his console, highlighting a star system on the main viewer. "Set a course for the human colony designated New Eden. It is time we introduced ourselves." As a massive Zarkani war fleet slid into the shimmering tunnel of hyperspace, the fate of two civilizations began its inexorable collision course. On the colony world of New Eden, the twin suns, Helios and Selene, rose in a breathtaking ballet of lavender and gold over the terraformed Valley of Hope's Landing. The air was crisp, carrying the scent of alien blossoms and a faint, clean hum of atmospheric processors. For Dr. Alina Sato, chief xenobiologist, it was another day in a personal paradise. From her lab window, she watched the settlement sprawl beneath her, a testament to human determination against a foreign sky. Her reverie was shattered by her assistant, Marcus Chun, bursting into the lab, his face pale, his eyes wide with fear she had never seen there before. "Alina, the long-range array, it's picked up something. A fleet, a massive one, and they're not answering any of our hails." The air in the Colonial Command Center was thick enough to choke on. Governor Isabella Reyes, her face a mask of grim composure, stood before her staff, the holographic display behind her showing a swarm of crimson that's moving relentlessly toward their world. "Options," she stated, her voice clipped. Captain Jared Wallace, head of New Eden's Modest Security Force, shook his head, his jaw tight. "Governor, we have 12 interceptors and 3 ground-to-orbit batteries. They were designed to scare off pirates, not fight a war. That," he pointed a trembling finger at the hologram, is an armada. Earth has been alerted, Reyes said. But even if they dispatch the entire fleet the moment they get our signal, it will be 3 weeks before they get here. The unspoken words hung in the air. We are on our own. Alina found her voice, though it felt foreign in her throat. The northern mountain range. The cave networks we surveyed last year. They're extensive, geologically stable. They could shelter thousands. Reyes locked eyes with her, a flicker of gratitude in her steely gaze. Do it. Captain, coordinate with Dr. Sato. Begin immediate, quiet evacuation. I don't want panic. To everyone else, this is a drill. The first sign of the invasion for the average colonist was the sound. A deep, thunderous roar that grew from a hum to a scream, tearing the sky apart. Then the shadows fell as Arcani dropships, shaped like malignant insects, blotted out the suns. Captain Wallace's voice was the last thing many of his pilots heard. This is it, boys and girls. They're not here to talk. Remember your training. Watch your wingman's back. For home, for New Eden, the 12 human interceptors rose to meet the swarm. They were hopelessly outnumbered, but they flew with a desperate, terrifying courage. They weaved and dodged, using the planet's atmosphere to their advantage, striking with hit-and-run tactics. One interceptor, trailing fire, rammed itself into a Zarkani lander, destroying both in a silent, blossoming flower of fire and debris. Wallace's sacrifice bought precious minutes for the evacuation convoys. On the ground, it was a nightmare. The colonial militia, farmers, engineers, and shopkeepers armed with standard-issue rifles, fought a desperate, street-by-street retreat. The Zarkani warriors were relentless, their chitinous armor deflecting small arms fire, their energy weapons cutting through prefab walls and human bodies with equal ease. Alina and Marcus found themselves shepherding a group of terrified children into the dark mouth of the cave when a Zarkani patrol spotted them. A plasma bolt seared the rock face next to Alina's head. Without thinking, Marcus shoved her and the children deeper into the darkness, turning to face the advancing warriors with nothing but a rock in his hand. He was struck down before he could even throw it. The caves became a cold, dark, and terrified world. The sounds of battle outside slowly faded, replaced by the ominous, rhythmic clicking of Zarkani patrols and the low hum of their repulsor craft. Hope's Landing burned, its glow a hellish sunset against the cave walls. The air grew stale, recycled through overtaxed, failing systems. Alina, her face smudged with dirt and tears, tended to Marcus's scorched shoulder. His breathing was shallow. Around them, hundreds of colonists huddled together, their whispers the only sound against the drip of water and the distant booms of continued fighting. We held them off as long as we could, a wounded militiaman muttered into the darkness. But they're too many, too strong. Alina looked up from her patient, her eyes hard. We're not dead yet, she said, her voice low but firm. We're adapting, and we're waiting. The distress signal from New Eden was a spike of pure panic through the quiet hum of Earth's communication networks. In the subterranean situation room in Geneva, the air was frigid with dread. President Adaman Kuma's face was etched with gravity that silenced the room before he even spoke. The unthinkable has happened, he began, his voice a low rumble. One of our children is under attack. New Eden is being overrun by a hostile alien force. We are, as of this moment, at war. Admiral Helena Shao, her posture ramrod straight, activated the central holotank. The attackers are the Zarkani swarm. Their technology is a generation ahead of our own. Their fleet numbers in the hundreds. Our first and third fleets can be mobilized and at New Eden in 21 days. It will be a relief force, not a rescue. The math is grim. The Arcturus platform, Kuma said, turning to a nervous man in a lab coat. Dr. Tanaka, is it ready? Dr. Hiroshi Tanaka wiped his brow. Sir, the gravitational lens weapon is theoretical. We've achieved 94% power stability in simulations, but full power tests could cause a catastrophic feedback loop. It could tear a hole in space-time we can't close. It is not a weapon, it is a physics experiment. And the Zarkani are not an enemy. They are an extermination, General Maria Hernandez countered, her voice like grinding stone. We need that experiment to work. Doctor, we need a miracle. Then we will build one, Kuma declared, his fist hitting the table. Tanaka, you have 7 days. Get it combat ready. Admiral Shao, mobilize everything that can fly and fight. General Hernandez, ready the Marine Expeditionary Force. We're going to get our people back. Across the Sol system, a dormant war machine roared to life. Shipyards on Mars and Luna glowed like new stars. The UES Indomitable, the first of the new Defiant-class battleships, was rushed through its final trials. In her captain's chair, Aisha Okono exuded a calm she did not feel. Report, she said, her voice steady. Shield integration at 97%. The antimatter spike cannons are charged and nominal. All squadrons report ready. Her executive officer, Commander Jack O'Neill, replied, The fleet awaits your order, Captain. Aisha looked at the view screen, at the armada of human ships, a mix of sleek new designs and older, refurbished freighters hastily armed. Gathering around her, signal the fleet. Set course for the new Eden system. Maximum burn. As the fleet vanished into the blue-shifted tunnel of FDL travel, a breakthrough occurred in a lab in Sydney. Dr. Yuki Watanabe had done the impossible. Stable quantum entanglement communication. The first message to New Eden was brief, a text-only burst of raw hope. In the dark caves, a battered tablet computer, its power almost drained, flickered to life. Alina Sato, clutching Marcus's unconscious form, read the words. A single, clean tear cut through the grime on her cheek. She stood up, turning to the huddled masses. They're coming, she said, her voice gaining strength. Earth is coming. Now, let's make sure we're still here when they arrive. The Earth fleet re-entered normal space at the edge of the new Eden system to a vision of hell. The planet was shrouded in smoke. The orbital space was thick with Zarkani warships, their predatory forms circling like vultures. The debris of New Eden's defense force and several Zarkani vessels formed a grim asteroid field of death. All hands, battle stations. Aisha's voice was calm over the ship-wide comm. Remember your training. They're bigger. They're meaner. But we are smarter. Formation Theta 7. Execute. The human fleet, a fraction the size of the Zarkani Armada, did not form a traditional battle line. Instead, it broke into small, agile hunter-killer groups, using the debris field for cover. The Indomitable's new shield systems glowed violet as they absorbed punishing volleys of plasma fire. Their shields are adapting to our frequency. O'Neill yelled over the alarm klaxons. Then we don't give them a frequency to lock onto. Aisha shot back. Random modulation, pattern delta. And someone get me a firing solution on their command ship. On the surface, Alina led a desperate raid. Using knowledge of the colony's maintenance tunnels, a small team of scientists and wounded soldiers infiltrated the occupied administration building. Amidst the alien consoles, a young tech specialist managed a slice into the Zarkani command network. They've called for reinforcements, she hissed. Another fleet, even bigger, ETA 15 minutes. Before they could react, the door hissed open. A hulking Zarkani warrior stood there, its weapon raised. Alina's mind went blank with terror. Then she saw the symbol on its chest, a medical insignia. This was a field medic unit, and on its belt was a standard-issue Zarkani data slate. An idea, insane and brilliant, flashed in her mind. She didn't reach for a weapon. She pointed at the data slate, then at the console, and made a series of urgent, pleading gestures. The warrior hesitated, its compound eyes unreadable. Then, surprisingly, it unclipped the slate and tossed it to her. Marcus, leaning heavily against the console, understood instantly. He plugged it in, his fingers flying across the human interface. In orbit, the Indomitable shuddered under a direct hit. Hull breach on Deck 4. Containment fields holding. Captain, the communications officer shouted. We're receiving a data burst on a Zarkani frequency. It's from the surface. It's a tactical update on the reinforcements. Aisha's eyes narrowed. Time. 14 minutes, Captain. She made a decision in a split second. All ships. New orders. Fall back to the debris field. Use the wreckage for cover. Prepare to execute Pincer Protocol Alpha on my mark. She opened a new channel. Arcturus Command, this is Captain Okono. Do you read? Light the candle. Now. Aboard the Arcturus platform, Dr. Tanaka watched the power gauge hover at 98.7%. It's not 100, his assistant whispered. It will have to be enough, Tanaka said, his voice quiet. Initiate firing sequence. May God have mercy on us all. In the silent dark between stars, space itself seemed to warp around the massive platform. A beam of pure, focused gravity, visible only as a rippling distortion, lanced across the solar system. It didn't explode, it unmade. It passed through the heart of the Zarkani fleet, and where it touched, ships were simply torn into subatomic particles. The battle stopped. The shock was absolute. Then Admiral Zhao's voice, thick with emotion, crackled across the fleet. The Arcturus has spoken. All ships, advance. For Earth. For New Eden. The second Zarkani wave dropped out of FDL directly into the trap. The human fleet, hidden in the debris, opened fire from one side. The Arcturus platform, recharging far away, fired again, slicing through the newcomers from the other. The Zarkani formation disintegrated into chaos. On the bridge of the Eternal Conquest, Emperor Zoran stared in disbelief at the tactical display. His mighty armada was being systematically dismantled by a species he had dismissed as primitives. Impossible, he rasped. General Vexera placed a cautious claw on his arm. My Emperor, the battle is lost. We must retreat. To stay is extinction. Zoran's shoulders slumped. The order to retreat was the most bitter thing he had ever tasted. On the surface, the survivors heard the change in the sound of the war. The relentless hum of Zarkani engines was replaced by the familiar, thunderous roar of human shuttles descending through the atmosphere. The colonial militia, sensing the shift, launched a furious counteroffensive from their hiding places. Alina Sato, standing at the cave entrance, watched as the sky, once filled with enemies, was now filled with hope. The first Earth landing craft settled on the scorched earth of Hope's Landing, its hatches opening to reveal armored Marines who were immediately mobbed by weeping, grateful colonists. The battle was over. The war was won. In the weeks that followed, the galaxy changed. The Galactic Council, humbled and astonished, formally invited humanity to take a seat among them. The Zarkani Empire, its military might shattered and its emperor deposed, fractured into warring factions, its expansionist dreams turned to dust. On a rebuilt New Eden, now a symbol of human resilience, a ceremony was held. Captain Aisha Okono, soon-to-be Ambassador Okono, stood beside Governor Alina Sato. Marcus Chun, his arm in a sling, watched with a proud smile. President Kuma's image was projected before the assembled humans and the first official alien delegations. We did not seek this fight, he said, his voice echoing across the plaza. But when it was brought to our doorstep, we discovered who we are. We are not just a species that can make war. We are a species that can endure, that can adapt, that can unite against impossible odds to protect our own. He looked out at the crowd, at the diverse faces of a dozen worlds. Our victory is not a license for conquest, but a passport to the stars. We step into this new galactic community, not as conquerors, but as partners, ready to learn, ready to build, and fiercely, unwaveringly, ready to defend the peace we have earned. As the sun set, painting the sky in triumphant colors, Alina looked up at the stars. They were no longer cold and distant points of light, but destinations, possibilities. The warning had been ignored, and a terrible price had been paid. But from the ashes, a stronger, wiser humanity had emerged, finally ready to claim its place in the vast, silent cosmos, its voice now a permanent part of the chorus of 1,000 species. The story was far from over. It was just beginning.